Good evening, friends. Welcome again to Through Literary Lens. I am Rajesh Asudani Raqeeb.
Namaskar, this is Dr. Vinod Asudani.
And Vinod ji, we are not going to leave you like that.
Oh.
Today, we have undertaken to listen from your own mouth your wonderful English poems from your collection, Penumbra. And not only listen, but discuss also. We are going to have a threadbare discussion. What do you think about that poem? What we think, what our audience thinks. And now, which of your poems is there? I think it is The Threat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The title of the poem is The Threat.
Threat.
It's a very small poem
Mm-hmm.
of only 8 lines.
Okay.
Let me recite first.
Sure.
And then we see what does it say.
Yeah.
The threat. From opposite ends, we pull at the same thread,
Mm-hmm.
even when thread is broken,
Mm-hmm.
we leave not pulling,
Mm-hmm.
a tiny part of it remains in each one's fist. ...
Okay. Okay.
Now, what do you make of this small poem, Rajesh?
Yeah, I mean, thread, it takes up the thread, and thread naturally stands for something. Thread is a connector.
Yes.
It connects, it connects us. Maybe a relationship, maybe a common task, maybe a grand narrative, or something which connects. The job of the thread is to sew, to connect the things
Exactly.
or the people. And now we are pulling at the same thread from opposite ends.
So this brings the inherent irony
Yeah.
of connecting forces.
Yeah. Why are we pulling at the same thread? Why can't we leave it, when it's
Why
connecting?
will not allow the thread to bind us together?
Bind us together. Why are we pulling at it?
But that is the case.
That is the case, and I don't know why. E.M. Forster has said, I think, in Passage to India, for some reason or the another, the human relations are just, breaking down. Centuries of carnal embarrassment, and man is no nearer to understanding man.
Yeah, starting with the personal relationship, right?
Yeah.
See, if husband and wife or lover and beloved or brother and sister, they should be close. They should be close, intimate.
Yeah.
Their relationship should be cordial and harmonious.
Yeah.
But very often we find that they are, conflicting. They are just
Thread can also make the swing, Vinodji.
Yes.
Why can't we be on the same swing? But
Is it?
no,
No, we are pulling at the opposite ends.
opposite ends.
We are pulling at the opposite ends. That is, the emphatic line of this poem. And then what happens if you go on pulling from the opposite ends? Ultimate result is
It will break.
thread is broken.
Yeah.
Necessarily, thread is broken. So if the relationship becomes strenuous, there's a lot of stress, a lot of conflict. Ultimately, what will happen? Breakup will come. People will fall apart. They will go their own ways. So the relationship is over. Be it human relationship, be it two countries,
To countries,
be to
groups.
groups.
Yeah.
So if we put from the opposite ends, again, pulling from the opposite ends, and at the abstract level, it is looking at the things from the different angles.
Different angles and contradictory angles. Vinodji, many a times, all of us have observed, you must have also noticed, when we talk to somebody, right? I say a point ABC. Generally, the answer comes no, it's not ABC. Now, why can't, in psychology, we call it first attune, non-disruptively or affirmative attuning. Then we can come to the disruptive attuning. But suppose straight away, if we jump to the disruptive attuning, then the relationship is not going, rapport is not going to be built. This is the basic principle of psychology.
Now, there are various interpretations.
Yeah.
The first thing is, perhaps human beings are so subjective that they cannot come to the common ground of understanding whatsoever the matter be. This is one interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
But for the practical reasons, they need to see the things together. They need to hold on the things together. So that is the practical requirement. So sometimes it happens. some people can say that we have the same opinion, we have the same perceptions. But if you go deeper, then everybody goes his or her own way, right? Even in the political field, we see the parties are, staunch opposite to each other. They cannot see the things, even if when there are some commonalities to see.
But then they can come together in the post-electoral alliances to form the government.
That is a selfishness
Right.
of coming together. That's not basically coming together, but that is coming together just for the selfish ends. So coming back to the poem, when we are pulling from the opposite ends, the thread is broken. And after that, this poem takes a new turn altogether. What happens?
We can't stop pulling.
We can't stop pulling. We are unaware.
That is the obsession.
The thread is over.
Reflexive action.
And the outcome is a tiny part of it. That is a tiny part of the thread remains where in each one's fist ... This speaks volumes. That once the thread is broken, a tiny part remains in one's fist.
Yes.
So what is that?
Now, we can take it positively as well as we can take it negatively. Positively speaking, the thread which bound the things or people together, now it's broken due to our competing and pulling, but still a small portion of that thread is in both the hands. Still it is the thread, maybe the smaller one. It will serve its purpose somehow. The fragments of that relationships, the memories of that relationships, the remnants of that whole, they are with us still.
Another interpretation that comes to my mind is when the one thread is there, it is long enough. Both people can hold the opposite ends. They can hold it comfortably as well, harmoniously as well. But instead of that, they are in the competition. They are pulling the thread from the opposite end instead of having the whole thread together. So the collective, collectivism or the collective vision or the collective task or collective projects are symbolized by holding the thread together by both the persons. But instead of that, in this postmodern and the post-colonial world where individualism trims, it is more important than anything else, where the personal liberty is given the premium, right? So each one pulls from the opposite end so vehemently, so forcibly, so thread is finally broken, and we have small thread left in our fist. So we perhaps rejoice that, okay, I have got my piece of thread. I have got my individual liberty. So individual liberty, which uproots you from your clan, from your family, from your group, from your neighborhood, is hollow liberty. So this small thread, even if you have both of the persons have the small thread left in their fist, but it is of no use because this small piece does not connect you with somebody else.
Of course. So that in the negative sense, definitely it resonates like this. And indeed, it's a very powerful metaphor. Not only the thread, but the pulling of the thread as well as the breaking of the thread and remainder of it in both the fists. Definitely, it speaks volumes about the transformations which we as a society, we as a group, we as an individual, we undergo in our life.
Now, let us understand three stages. There is a thread available where both the people or more people, more than two, can also hold it to the ends of the throat. That is perhaps the ideal situation that should have been continued. But because of the modern forces, because of the capitalist forces, because of the so-called attraction for the liberty, etc., freedom, etc., we have started pulling it. And we pull so much so that ultimately we break the thread into pieces. And the second stage is breaking of the thread. And the third stage is just being satisfied with a small thread in the fist. And the poem ends with a ... Because this small thread which is left in the hand of the person, each person, is perhaps not sufficient to pull on through the battle of the life.
And linguistically speaking, the word individual, when we use Vinodji, individual, now it cannot be divided further. That it means that earlier the groups, the nations, you can divide and
finally it is a final division. You cannot further divide it.
Proceed beyond this, then nothing will remain of the significance. So we have coined the word individual. But actually individual should not be a person. Individual should be an entity.
Yes.
a group, you know.
Exactly. So, the final, unit in the society is so-called individual,
Individual.
a person. And I cannot understand this Western,
Yeah.
discourse or approach that how individual is more important than the society.
Yeah.
How individual liberty is more important than the collective rights of the group or the society or the culture. Because we cannot, whatsoever we may say, we are not independent. We are interdependent. So giving
Nobody
too much
can survive
importance.
singly. Even today, nobody can survive singly.
And this is the false illusion that has been created by
Yeah.
the modern technology, that if you have got the technology, smartphone and computer and this and that, you no longer, you should not care for others, because others are not important for you. You are not no longer dependent upon others. But again, this is an illusion. We are essentially human beings. So it is not for the practical reasons that you require others' company, but for the emotional support,
Yeah.
but for the cultural connections, but for the psychological security, but for the spiritual practices, you require somebody else.
So, I mean, in the game of life, there is an algorithm B2S3. Birth 2, survival 3. For birth, you require 2 people who can give birth to you. But for survival, you require at least 3 people.
Exactly. This is something great.
Yeah.
And all these various interpretations are hidden in this
In
poem.
this
If
poem.
you peel it layer by layer,
Yeah.
you will come to understand lot many things. They are there in this small poem
Sure.
of 8 lines.
Sure. So wonderful. Again, Vinodji, please recite it.
Yeah.
So
The
that-
threat.
Yeah.
From the opposite ends, we pull at the same thread. Even when thread is broken, we leave not pulling.
Mm.
A tiny part of it remains in each one's fist. ...
Wonderful, Vinodji. Wonderful. Again, it made us think a lot, feel a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to discuss this poem.
Thank you.